Good morning. Welcome to the meeting of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs for the 2025 legislative session. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Carter,
Present.
DeLong,
Present.
De Silva,
Here.
Edgeworth,
Present.
Flanagan,
Here.
Gallant,
Here.
Golding,
Present.
Gurr,
Here.
Hunt,
Here.
Jackson, Karras,
Present.
Kasama, Nguyen,
Here.
Chair Considine.
Present. And please excuse, please mark Assembly Member Kasama absent excused. Okay. Welcome to the audience in Carson City, those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, and those listening over the internet. I would like to begin with some housekeeping measures. First, please silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to the committee secretary. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. And anytime you turn the microphone on after questions, please again state your name for the record. Turn the microphone off after each time you are done speaking. If you are providing handouts, please ensure that hard copies are available for members of the public. Electronic copies should be submitted to our committee manager by 9 a.m. the day before for our committee members. We expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we disagree with someone else's positions. I encourage committee members to ask questions and engage with the material as presented. If you have any follow-up questions, please flag them to me so we can ensure we have a balance and use our time effectively for the meeting. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not interpret this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. With that, let's get started. Today, we will hear 3 presentations. We will begin with a presentation from the City of Las Vegas, followed by a presentation for the Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities, and we will conclude with a presentation from the Nevada Department of Veteran Services. City of Las Vegas, if you'd like to step up. Joining us today, do we have, the mayor? Okay. Joining
The
us
mayor is here.
Mayor Shelley Berkeley, Randy Robeson, Government and Community Affairs Director in Las Vegas. We also have Sabra Newby, nice to see you back here, Deputy City Manager, and Kelly Crumpton, Government Affairs Manager here in Carson City. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you so much. Madam Chairman and members of the Assembly Government Affairs Committee, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today regarding the issues that are confronting the fabulous city of Las Vegas. My name is Shelley Berkeley, and I am very honored to be the mayor of my hometown, Las Vegas. In my previous elected role, I had the pleasure of coming up every year and addressing the legislature, and much prior to that, I was a member of the legislature back in 1983. And so I feel like I'm coming full circle and being able to interact with you again. I became the mayor of Las Vegas 61 days ago. So I have been in office now for a day over a month. It's like drinking from a fire hose. I'm learning a lot and I'm enjoying every minute of it. I had the opportunity to go through what I've been calling mayor school, where I have been meeting with all the department heads in the city, finding out what they do, how they interact with our constituents, and how they interact with the mayor's office. And it has been quite a learning curve and very, very enjoyable. Now to the challenges that confront us in the city of Las Vegas. I don't think anything I'll share with you is particularly unique or surprising, but we should put it on the record before we proceed. Vegas is in a very unique period in our history. Unlike most other jurisdictions in Southern Nevada, the city is landlocked, meaning we're nearly out of available, developable land to grow out. We must focus so much more intentionally on growing up And I don't mean aging, I mean growing up from the ground. We're becoming increasingly urbanized, and so we're increasingly dealing with the challenges common to urban cities, homelessness, economic development and diversification, good jobs, housing, supply and affordability, building new and maintaining existing infrastructure. And the list goes on, of course. As we work every day to find effective and sustainable solutions, we know that ultimate success depends on collaboration and partnership locally, regionally, and even nationally, of course, in combination with our local partners. And one of the most important partners is you, our state legislature, local elected officials and state elected officials. We all represent the same constituents. And I can tell you from my many years in office, Congress, Board of Regents, the Nevada State Assembly, and even from my few weeks in the mayor's office, a constituent doesn't care who solves their problem. They just want it solved. And that's why it's imperative that we continually get better and better at working together to serve our shared constituents. Believe me when I say I truly look forward to working with all of you. Having been one of you at a period of time in my public service, I know the challenges that you have and the extraordinary efforts that you make every day on behalf of the people that you represent. Before I conclude, let me say I'm looking forward to coming up to Carson City to visit with all of you and to talk about the issues that are confronting the city of Las Vegas so we could work collaboratively to solve them. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to turn this over to Saber Newby, one of our wonderful and capable deputy city managers, and of course, a former colleague of yours from last session. Please take it away, Saber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the record, my name is Saber Newby. I am a Deputy City Manager at the City of Las Vegas. With me, I have Kelly Crompton, our Government Affairs Manager, who's going to be running the PowerPoint for me. All right. You just heard from our lovely mayor, and I wanted to talk a little bit about our city council. It's a 7-member city council headed by the mayor and then 6 ward representatives, each elected from their own ward. And I'd like to point out that fully 5 of the 7 are former members of the esteemed assembly at the Nevada State Legislature. We have a council manager form of government, which is not unique actually across cities across the United States. It's one in which the voters elect our city council and mayor, and then those electeds provide us policy direction, and the day-to-day government management is done by a professional manager. Ours is Mike Jansen and a number of city employees. I like to, and some of you have already heard my my analogy about the council manager form of government, that it's like a bicycle, where our city council and mayor are like the handlebars that steer us in the direction that they think we should go, and the manager and the workers are all like the gears and the pedals and the wheels that make it go where it needs to go. Of course, the city of Las Vegas is very diverse, and we are very proud of that. You can see here our land mass is 142,000 square miles. Yes, not regular square miles. And our population is almost 670. Again, very diverse and something that we are very proud of and work to maintain. One of our real stars of our departments is our Parks and Rec and Cultural Affairs Department. We maintain 86 parks that have over 12 million visitors every year. We're really proud of our community centers, and they're very popular. We had over 360,000 visitors to those in 2024. And as we have an older and increasingly older population, 15,000 participants in our adult active fitness classes. And then, of course, lots of great events that we all know and love, like Eldorado Days, the Vegas Book Festival, and Day of the Dead celebrations. Where the rubber really meets the road, though, is in our Public Works Department. Those are the roads and signals that you see every day. We maintain over 1,000 traffic signals. We're sorry about that, but they do try and keep us safe. We have over 1,300 miles of paved roads, 61,000 almost streetlights, and we have water treatment. Obviously, when you flush the toilet, you want it to go somewhere and you want it to be treated. We treat about 17 billion gallons of wastewater every year. We like to think that we are very business friendly and business encouraging, and I think our stats show that. 4,704 business licenses in 2024, building permits over 3,600, and over 96,000 building inspections within the city of Las Vegas. But really what's most important to our residents and what's most important to us is public safety. You'll see later on how much of the city's budget really is consumed by public safety. It's the thing that we pride ourselves in, that when you're in need, that you're going to make that call and that someone from the city of Las Vegas or supported by the city of Las Vegas is going to respond. In 2024, our 22 fire stations received more than 100,000 calls for service. In our city attorney's office that prosecutes misdemeanors, we prosecuted over 16,000 criminal cases in Muni Court and maintained over 23,000 fire hydrants, which we know from the fires in California are an important part of our public safety system, but often sort of unsung heroes. Our staffing has remained fairly constant in the past several years. You'll see we have about 3,800 employees, and again, touching on that public safety theme, the majority of our employees are in the public safety realm at just over 1,500, with culture and recreation being next up and general government beyond that. But we're proud of our workers. We have three values that we maintain and try every day to live up to, and they are to be kind, to be committed, and to be smart. And we work every day to fulfill those in everything we do. Our revenues for fiscal year 24 are here. We saw a gain in consolidated tax, and so it comprised a larger piece of the pie of our revenues at 56%, with property tax coming in and second at almost 20% of those revenues. Other comprises 10%, and then licenses and franchise fees at about almost 14%. General fund expenditures, again, we pride ourselves in our public safety, and public safety is the greatest single expenditure that we have at over 60, or just about 63%, or $475 million. This is not just our fire department, our marshals, city attorneys, but it also includes our contribution to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, which, as you probably know, is a service, is a unit that is combined for City of Las Vegas and unincorporated Clark County. A question I get a lot is, okay, Sabra, well, beyond your revenues that you get from taxes and fees and licenses, what about grant funding? Do you really go out there and try and get some grant funding? And I think our answer is resoundingly yes. We really do try to go out there and supplement our programs with additional grant funds. And in fiscal year 24, we got 45 federal awards at over $77 million. 80% of those are non-competitive. Those are typically your formula-based grants. Those would be your CDBG, your home. We receive HOPWA, which is, sorry, I'm looking at this, it says I have to define acronyms. HOPWA is Housing for Persons with AIDS. We do receive those funds as well. But we do go after competitive grants, and we are constantly looking for those opportunities. We have a grant team headed up by Ms. Crompton here that sends out grant opportunities to our departments when they are things that we could potentially go for. We also go for non-federal awards. They're not as large of a dollar figure, but those are all competitive, those 21 awards. And then, of course, we do go after community project funding, or also called congressionally directed spending. We submitted 17 applications in the current fiscal year for the feds, and 5 of those were in partnership with our local nonprofits. So we were able to help them get into the pipeline as well. We believe that we should get hopefully 9 projects if Congress ever passes some appropriations bills, and those total 22 million. One of those projects is in partnership with one of our local nonprofits. Bless you. And because our city is so diverse, language access is a big issue for us and a big priority for us. We do many, many things. I tried to include here just some of the high-level things that we do, but there are many, many more that couldn't fit on the slide. We know that 12.6% of our population identify as limited English proficient. About 80% of those are Spanish speakers. And so we do have a bilingual public information officer. We have a Spanish newsletter. It's not on here, but we also just last year launched our Spanish language YouTube channel. We have Spanish language events for business incubators in collaboration with UNLV, the SBDC, and SBA, Small Business Administration. And in addition, of course, what's the way that folks normally interact with us? It's through our website and through some of the notices that we put out for the public. And because of that, we have translation abilities for 7 languages, and also for our planning notices in those 7 languages. And interestingly enough, I just looked it up, last year we had over 330,000 times that our website was translated into a language other than English. So we know that folks are coming to our website to get those services and information. One of the important things and important issues for us, top issue, and I know it's been a real top issue for our Mayor Berkeley, is homelessness. And we do contribute and do a number of different services in our community, including some of the services that many of you may have toured already. The the Courtyard Homeless Resources Center, of course, is our biggest offering, but also the Recuperative Care Center, which is an offering that helps individuals who are experiencing homelessness recover from whether it be surgery or an illness once they get out of the hospital. We have a second chance employment program, Ticket to Home, the Arrow, which is a transportation service. We have 3 routes for the Arrow that go to areas and offerings that are important for these folks to get back on their feet, like Social Security Administration, to the DMV, to various hospitals and other services, the VA and such. Very important for folks that don't have transportation. We have the MORE teams that are out engaging in the community and encampments. We have 5 of those, and we of course have housing services to both prevent folks from entering homelessness, but also to help folks exiting. We also provide grant support to many of our nonprofit partners in the community, and very happy to say that at our next agenda for the City Council, we hope to sign on to the Campus for Hope project with a great support from Clark County as well. And of course, closely related, we all know that affordable housing is a huge issue. It's really the pressure that's been, I believe, creating this increase in homelessness and issues in our community, and the city is really stepping up and has stepped up in the last couple of years in making this more of a priority for us. Right now, we have an estimated $14 million of investment into projects that are currently either planned or underway, and those should provide up to hopefully 2,000 affordable housing units. In the years 2019 through 2023, we invested about $13 million to get about 1,100 units. Now, these units aren't fully supported by the city. Typically, these developers would have a stacking funding model that would have various sources of funding from various jurisdictions, but we are happy to be partners with them and help them close that gap. One of the things that we're really excited about, and I'm personally really excited about, is the community land trust that we're working on right now. And that really, if we can get that launched, would help build a shared equity with the homeowners, but also ensure that those units remain affordable into the future. The city has 3 bills that we are bringing to the legislature. I won't go into them in detail because I think 2 of them at least are coming your way, hopefully. The first one, of course, is Senate Bill 28, and this is concerning affordable housing. It allows cities like Las Vegas to support high-density, transit-oriented projects through existing offerings within the law. This is important because although we talk about BLM land, and that is a great offering, a great opportunity for us to use for affordable housing, typically those parcels are on the outskirts of town. And what we really need is to get affordable units for folks that are on transit corridors that can get to easily schools, medical, to places and centers of work. Rather than being on the outskirts. The other aspect of this is that it expands the use of our permit fee offsets, which we currently use for up to 60% AMI, area median income, and this would expand that use to up to 120% AMI. The next bill, Senate Bill 48, is essentially applying the same standard and existing language on the consistency standard that's set forth in 16 of the 17 counties to Clark County. And so we believe that it aligns more our master plan to the planning process. And finally, the RCC, Senate Bill 54, this is for our recuperative care center. Currently, that facility is entirely supported by City of Las Vegas general funds. And what we would like to do is have the state establish a code for recuperative care for homeless individuals and be able to fund in part through Medicaid funding some of those services that are provided to these folks where those folks are eligible. And that concludes my presentation. Of course, we have a number of folks who are up here full-time. You'll see some of them listed here. I'm always available, and I'd be happy to take any questions unless Mayor Berkeley or Mr. Robeson have any comments to add on the presentation.
Thank you so much, Saber, for representing the city so well.
I'm
Madam
sorry, Mayor,
Chairman and members of the committee, we want to thank you again for the opportunity to talk about the city that I grew up in, that I love, and that I now represent. I believe with all my heart that the next 10 years will be explosive in a very positive way for the city, and some of the most pivotal and important years in the history of Las Vegas. Working together with you and our local partners, I have no doubt that we will do great things for our city, our state, and for our fellow citizens. Again, thank you so much, and we'll be very happy to address any questions that you may have.
Thank you, and that was the City of Las Vegas Mayor Shelley Berkeley for the record. So thank you. And we have some questions. Any other questions from the committee before we get started? Okay, our first question will be from Assembly Member De Silva.
Thank you, Chair. Good to see you again, Director Anubi, and of course, our wonderful mayor from Las Vegas, Mayor Berkeley. I had a two-part question. One, it pertains to Senate Bill 28. I know that we've been discussing in the city of Las Vegas about the high-density transit districts and the creation of those development projects. And in North Las Vegas, I know that the Agora Group has been looking at developing some mid-rises. I know that's a question that comes up with my own constituency. It's a divisive issue, the actual development of those of building up as opposed to building out. But with the land issues in in Las Vegas, I think it's something we should be open to. So I was wondering first and foremost if there's going to be some kind of consideration in Senate Bill 22 to create maybe some allotments. Okay, I'm sorry.
There we go, sorry. Talking about any specific bills, we want to talk about them when they're in the committee. So
Okay,
if you
sounds
have
good.
additional questions, please reach out to the city.
Okay, Chair. And then the second question I had to do with the opportunity zones. I know this was brought up in the last session as well. I was wondering if there was also some consideration from the city to look at expanding some of those, the creation of those zones in East Las Vegas. I know there's been a heavy focus on the west side, but looking at maybe having that same sort of opportunity for the folks in the eastern part of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Considine, to you and through you to Assemblymember De Silva. Yes, I think the core of your first question was really about building mid-rise, and it is something that we are considering and cognizant of, because unlike building in new areas where there's just pure land, what you're trying to do with infill is in among already established neighborhoods. And so we know that and are cognizant of that, and it is a different type of development, but density is something that we need very much. And so it is kind of something that you have to weigh, for sure. On the opportunity zones, I think one of the things that we are working on the east side is our NERSA, which is a neighborhood revitalization and stabilization, I believe.
Yeah.
And so our NERSA on the east side is just kicking off now, but it is something that we are planning on and looking to put more resources to. For example, one of the things that we are currently in the process of is trying to redevelop the Desert Pines site over there to include affordable housing, but also what we're calling ETSI, which is our East Side Training and Education Center, to mirror the one that we have on the west side, in the historic west side, which is our WETSI, same name, just west side. And so we are looking to place that at on that site for Desert Pines, but we're also working on a health and wellness center on the east side as part of that NERSA, and that would be in partnership, it looks like, with community health. It's a partnership with FQHC, Federally Qualified Health Center, from Reno area, would be in there providing primary care. And so that's on the planning block 2. Oh, Sabra Newby, Deputy City Manager. I'm so out of practice. City of Las Vegas.
And may I chime in for just a moment?
If you please state your name for the record.
I'm Shelley Berkeley, Mayor of Las Vegas. Assemblyman, during the time that I was campaigning, I came to realize that there were parts of the city of Las Vegas that were far more developed than others. And I took it upon myself to make several commitments in West Las Vegas, particularly the historic West Side, and East Las Vegas, that the city of Las Vegas will do everything we can in order to develop those areas of our city and give the people that live in those areas, let's say, better opportunities to enjoy a higher quality of life. And I think that's a commitment that the city has made, and I am very supportive of that as mayor. So I'm hoping that you will actually see tangible results of our commitment and our efforts in the near future.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assembly Member Carter.
Thank you, and good to see you back, Sabra. My question's got to do with affordable housing. You know, everybody's talking about affordable housing. Is anything being done to ensure that these properties that all of this work's going into stay as owner occupied and don't get bought up by conglomerates or by individuals? We've already seen that in one project where my constituents are complaining very loudly that they're already seeing quote-unquote affordable housing up for rent or lease on Marketplace and other things.
For the record, Saber Newby, Deputy City Manager, City of Las Vegas, to you and through you, Chair Considine, to Assembly Member Carter. Yes, that is a concern of ours, and, we, like you, see the news about conglomerations buying up multiple houses. Our housing funding that we usually use in home and CDBG carries a period of affordability for us, so it requires that those units remain affordable for a certain period of time. And we have used in the past and probably will use in the future another option, which is to reinvest in some of those properties as they get to the end of those period of affordability, 20 years out, for example, and they may need some rehabbing or some additional work. We can reinvest in those, and when we do that with the federal funds, then we can extend that period of affordability even longer. One of the things that we were talking about with the community land trust that I talked about earlier is essentially that what you're talking about is to get homes into this community land trust and make them affordable in perpetuity. So what would happen with a community land trust is that the land trust would own the land underneath the home, but the individual or their families who would be income qualified would own the structure. And so as those homes appreciate, and this all has to be set up by the land trust, and so there's different rules that different communities have used. But as that appreciates, some of that equity will be kept by the individual or the family that bought the home if they choose to sell. But a lot of that equity will be kept by the land trust. So it ensures that that property in perpetuity is affordable and is kept affordable. And so that's one of the tools that we're really looking at. We have 10 properties that are holdovers from the NSP Neighborhood Stabilization Program from the 08, 09, from the last downturn. It was a federal program that gave funds to local governments to purchase homes that were in foreclosure and to put income qualified families into them. So we have 10 of those properties now that we're looking to put into that land trust initially, and we're looking to expand it from there. I think there's also some policy questions around business licensing that we could explore. We obviously license commercial properties and commercial property owners, and it's been something that we've at least discussed. What is the difference between a commercial owner who owns 3 or 4 properties versus 2,000? And should those be treated differently? And I would submit, not to put the work back on you, but that's probably a policy decision that needs to ultimately be made at our state level.
Carter, our next question is from Vice Chair Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and great to see you again, former Assembly member, and of course the mayor. I am really a proponent of small business owner, as I'm a small business owner myself, and I really love the data that you put here for business development with 4,704 business licenses. I just wonder if the city go into a little bit further and keep track of how many are first-time business owner, how many are diverse business owners. I think it's important for us as we see how great the city of Las Vegas is doing on language access. I think that's amazing that you put that in the presentation and you are leading the efforts throughout the state for the language access plan. But I wonder if you do the same thing in the business category and kind of keep track of where our demographic is when it comes to the business community.
Saber Newby, Deputy City Manager, City of Las Vegas. Thank you for that question, Vice Chair Nguyen. I don't know that we keep the demographic information on the businesses, but I can certainly check into that for you. I don't know if many of you know my colleague Ramiro Reyes, who's on our team, and he really does go out there and try and interact with business groups, particularly diverse ones, to try and get them the things that they need to make the process easier. But we will get back to you on that data, because that would be interesting as well for me.
Yes, if you can send it to the entire committee, that would be awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nguyen. Our next question is from Assemblymember Jackson.
Good morning, Mayor. It feels good to hear your voice out here in Carson City. We hear you loud and clear, by the way. So I wanted to speak on Jackson Street and the business development there. I know the Art District had a lot of business license opportunity when it first was created. And I'm hoping to see some type of, business opportunities for Jackson Street. And I was wondering if there's any plans for that area with Jackson Street.
Madam Chairman, could I chime in response?
Please do, but state your name for the record.
For the record, I'm Shelley Berkeley, the mayor of Las Vegas, and I am delighted to speak to through you to Assemblyman Jackson. I could not agree with you more. I grew up in Las Vegas, and we've been talking about developing the historic West Side for as long as I can remember. The time has come. I am working very closely with the new city council member from Ward 5, and we are committed to working together collectively on behalf of the people that do call the historic West Side home. There are a number of events taking place in Jackson Street over the next month, and I plan to be at as many of them as possible in order to send a signal that the city of Las Vegas is committed to the development in that area.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your initiatives.
Chairwoman, would you mind if I add just a little bit to that?
State your name for the record. Absolutely. Thank you.
Saber Newby, Deputy City Manager, City of Las Vegas. We do have a number of things happening on Jackson, and I just wanted to shout out, we have our event that Mayor Berkeley mentioned upcoming February 22nd, Love on Jackson. 12 to 4 p.m. Be there. It's going to be a great event and really showing the outreach and some of, and we'll have also information on a number of the developments that we're working on in the area. Love on Jackson, February 22nd, 12 to 4 p.m.
A couple of questions. If we can go back to the demographics slide at the beginning. I'm familiar with this, but I don't know how many other folks are. You have the outline for the city of Las Vegas, but there are several parcels within that that have their own outlines. Will you explain what that means? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Saber Newby, Deputy City Manager, City of Las Vegas. Thank you, Chair Considine. Those are unincorporated Clark County areas. They are what we affectionately call the donut holes. And so those are areas that are not incorporated within the City of Las Vegas. Those are unincorporated county residents. That said, because the city surrounds them, oftentimes we do provide services to those residents within those areas.
Thank you for that answer. My next question is on the staffing. How is the city of Las Vegas doing on staffing? Are you fully staffed? Do you have a lot of openings?
Saber Newby, Deputy City Manager, City of Las Vegas. We do have a number of openings right now. Thank you, Chair Considine. We are in sort of maintaining and recovery mode right now with respect to a case that you might have heard of called the Badlands. And so we have a settlement that has been agreed to. It is still in process in terms of the outcome. But as a result of that, the city is set to put forward about $250 million as part of that settlement. And as you might imagine, $250 million is a lot of money in any situation. And because of that, we are looking at and have already begun to hold positions frozen to save money as people leave, to recoup some of those funds that we will need to pay out, essentially. So as folks leave, we identify whether or not those positions should be filled. Public safety is not under that freeze. It is a priority for us, so public safety positions are not being frozen, but all other positions are certainly scrutinized very heavily and most likely going to be frozen. We also had what we call a VSP, a voluntary separation program, and a number of people took that. Those positions will be frozen for 2 years as a result of those folks retiring early as a cost-cutting measure.
Mentioned public safety. On the staffing page, you mentioned that public safety encompasses several entities, and that you said that included not only the Las Vegas Marshals Police, it includes the city attorneys, and just wanted to know what else does the positions, the public safety positions encompass?
Saber Newby, thank you, Chair Considine. I believe it also includes the courts, if I'm not mistaken, in that fire comms, all the folks in that. That would be fire comms, dispatch. The jail, so corrections officers, the COs, would all be in that category as well.
Thank you. Committee members, do we have any other questions? Assembly Member Flanagan.
Yes, to Sabra, good morning. As you guys plan for the cuts to pay for the $250 million, will there be any hard hits to Parks and Recreation? Because I know you do a lot of cultural programming, which is really important to our youth and our families. So I just want to make sure I'm clear on how it could affect them.
Saber Newby, for the record, thank you, Assemblymember Flanagan, for the question. At this point, our manager and our council have been committed to not doing layoffs, and so to the extent that we have frozen positions that may occur in parks, that it could be an impact, but we are not looking at cutting necessarily any programming. That said, one of the things that we have had to do because of the settlement is to essentially wipe out a number of our capital projects that were planned, and some of those are parks-related physical developments that we would have otherwise planned for in the next couple of years.
Other questions from the committee? I want to thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Mayor Berkeley. Our next presentation is the Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities. We have a presentation from Kelly McNeil, Executive Director of the Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Chair Considine and committee members, my name is Kelly McNeil, and I am the Executive Director for the Nevada League of Cities. I've been with them for the last 7 short months, so I share similar sentiments to Mayor Berkeley and drinking from a fire hose. It's been a short stint with a very steep learning curve, and we've been very busy. So with that, the Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities, who are we? So we were founded on October 30th, 1959.
I'm so sorry. I just want to stop it for a second so we can pause to get your presentation to be on the full screen, and then we can
Oh,
get
I'm
started.
sorry. It said if I hit F5, it would go into presentation mode, but that didn't work. There we go. All right.
Please
Right
state
along.
your name for the record when you begin.
For the record, my name is Kelly McNeil, Executive Director for the Nevada League of Cities. So we were founded on October 30th, 1959, just the day before Nevada Day. And our membership is comprised of the 19 incorporated cities in Nevada, plus 2 towns, Gardnerville and Minden, and 4 general improvement districts. We've got Gardnerville Ranchos, Kingsbury, Incline Village, and Indian Hills. And our association is governed by a board of directors where we have an elected official from each of the 25 entities. Our executive board is comprised of 7 members. We have our president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, past president, and 3 at-large seats. 2025 executive board is Mayor Michelle Romero from the city of Henderson, Vice President Councilman Torres from the city of Fernley. Our secretary treasurer is Mayor Pro Tem Scott Black from the city of North Las Vegas. And our past president is Mayor Lori Bagwell from Carson City. Our 3 at-large seats are our large cities is represented by Mayor Ed Lawson from the city of Sparks. Our medium cities is Mayor Joe Hardy from Boulder City. Our small cities, towns, and JIDs, Mayor Nathan Robertson from the city of Ely. So each of our executive board members serve a 1-year term, and when you're elected to the secretary treasurer position, you climb the ranks all the way to the past president. Where our at-large seats, they also serve 1-year terms with the possibility of running 3 consecutive years. We're pretty proud of our executive board this year. We've got a great representation from the north, the south, the rurals, and the small cities, which has taken some time to establish that. Moving forward, we're excited to see the new change going forward. Our mission is strength and unity. Unity is strength, and where there's teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can happen. This past year, last October, we had our annual conference held in State Line, Nevada at the Tahoe Blue Event Center, and our theme was Together We Achieve. We provided all sorts of programming and education for our electeds, our city managers and city clerks, where they could all collaborate, work together, and network with their peers. We're a unified association with the majority of the municipalities. Over the last handful of years, there's been some change with membership, but we're moving forward and we're growing. We focus on local government representation, fiscal stewardship. We want to make sure that our municipalities are utilizing their resources responsibly. We're working together and we're collaborating. What do cities do? So cities may provide direct services. Not all of our cities provide the same services. So we've got public safety, municipal courts, utilities, so they can manage water and or sanitation, public works, senior services, maintain and build parks, community centers, libraries, and public spaces. Our cities are operated either under a municipal charter or governed by a general law statute, which is NRS 266. As of 2024, there are 13 charter cities and 6 general law cities. So the charter cities would be Boulder City, Caliente, Carlin, Carson City, Elko, Henderson, Las Vegas, Mesquite, North Las Vegas, Reno, Sparks, Wells, and Yerington. And our general law cities would be Ely, Fallon, Fernley, Lovelock, West Wendover, and Winnemucca. All cities must have at least 1,000 residents to incorporate, and a city would be automatically disincorporated if their population dropped below 150. Our cities also encourage local economic growth through zoning regulations, development, infrastructure projects, and then licensing and permitting. So what we do at the League, we advocate for the interests of local government. We represent our cities, towns, and GIDs. We provide a united voice for our municipalities at the state and the federal level. We help local governments better serve their communities. We provide training to local government elected officials, and then we also serve as a resource and a liaison between the executive and legislative branch, along with the state's federal delegation. So how we help? We provide a one-stop shop for input, information, and data to support your work here at the legislature. We're composed of elected officials just like you. We're a resource for the city perspective and the legislative issues informed by our shared constituencies. And as questions or bills arise that are introduced that impact local municipalities, we want to be your resource and a voice for local governments. So we're here to provide education, solutions, and a unified voice with all that you guys do. So with that, I thank you for your time. I'd like to make sure that you know we're at your service, and I welcome any questions that you have.
Committee members, any questions? Okay, we're all set. Thank you. Our next presentation is the Nevada Department of Veteran Services. We will have Colonel Mary Devine, Director of the Nevada Department of Veteran Services. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good morning. I am Director Mary Devine for the record, and with me today I have my deputy directors, Ro Ferrer for benefits, Mark McBride for health services. I'd also like to acknowledge that we have Andy LaPulpit from the UVLC with us today, and I also have Joe Thiele, my executive officer, and down in Las Vegas we have Terry Hendry, our public affairs officer. Good morning, Madam Chairman. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We're very excited to be here, and let's give you an overview of the department and where we plan to go in this next fiscal years of 26 and 27. Next slide. Our mission at the Department of Veteran Services is to serve all veterans. We do this by honoring their remarkable legacy, and we focus on their commitment and connecting them to their benefits and services that they have earned throughout their service. This falls in line with our vision, which is to make all Nevada veterans and their families understand and what we can do to connect them to their benefits and services that they have earned. Next slide. To give you a demographic of who we serve, there are 7% of Nevada's residents are veterans. This translates into approximately 216,000 veterans statewide. Our largest population of veterans is in Clark County with about 151,000 veterans, and our smallest population is in Esmeralda County with about 124 veterans. Our older generation is comprised of Korean War veterans and World War II veterans, while our Vietnam veterans, peacetime veterans, Gulf War veterans comprise the bulk of our veteran population. Our women veterans make up about 11% of the veteran populations, and our women veterans are the largest growing population that we have at this point. And within that subsection, we have a very large population of Native American women veterans that are out there that have unique needs. Some of our veterans need assistance in many different ways. We need assistance in transitioning from active duty or from the Guard and Reserve post-deployment, and they need help in areas such as employment or underemployment, education benefits, buying a home, and NDVS provides assistance in each of these areas to help veterans transition from military service into their civilian sector lives. They may need health. They may have healthcare needs. Our veteran service officers provide help with filing VA claims, including claims that fall under the Federal PAC Act and things that are in the area of expanded healthcare. The PAC Act underscores the unique healthcare needs of those veterans that have served in military, and we also help the Medical Service Corps as well. So that's a little bit different. Because of their service, they may have been exposed to toxic substances from burn pits and other types of trauma. Next slide. We'll talk a little bit about our lines of effort. The slide, it's a busy slide. It has a lot of information really designed for you to take away and take a look at it at other times after the briefing. But our lines of effort really focus on benefits and healthcare services and two others that we'll talk on the other slides. Our veteran service officers are really our front line. They're the ones that help us connect our veterans to those benefits, whether that be through the VA or other sources that are out there. We work to connect our veterans and military members and their families to the VA benefits and programs and resources that are out there. Our veteran cemeteries are the outreach to our out there, as well as our outreach to special populations, which includes women veterans, Native Americans, LGBTQ, rural, and other veterans experiencing homelessness or going through criminal justice system are a part of our overall outreach programs. Outreach focuses on awareness, since not all veterans, we find not all veterans identify as veterans, and that's a problem within our community. Helping our veterans understand that no matter where they served, they are a veteran and they are entitled to the benefits that they have earned. There are many other reasons for why they don't identify as veterans. Some of our veterans that served during peacetime don't feel that they've earned the benefits because they were not deployed. It is not, it's not an individual veteran's choice if they are deployed or not. It really has to do with their assignments, timing, where they were, but they still earn their benefits, and we work very difficultly. we work really hard to make sure that we reach out to each of those veterans. We also see that it is common in our women veterans that they don't identify as veterans necessarily, and we're working hard with our Women's Committee to make sure we reach out. And we do have a Women's Veterans conference coming up in March, and I'm excited to say we have over 100 participants registered for that conference, which is one of the highest attendances we've seen in the last 2 years, so that's an exciting thing. Our outreach programs are focused on providing awareness and education and connecting them again to the benefits that they've earned. We've made a lot of advances in this area, and we are able to really identify our veterans by zip code and really take a look comparing data from all the different sources that we have and see what veterans are connected to their benefits and what are not. So we call those veterans that are not connected to their benefits untethered veterans, and those untethered veterans are the ones that we're focusing on with the VA, the VBA, and our community partners to make sure that we are working in collaboration with those organizations to reach out and get the word out there. Our other lines of effort surround healthcare and wellness. In those areas, we are including our current 2 state veterans homes and the programs aimed at the unique healthcare needs of our veterans and our previous military. If you look at the next slide, we have our program development. This is an area that we are looking at to work with unique needs and to collaborate. This is a new line of effort for us where we are looking at targeted outreach to say, like I talked about briefly before, where are these veterans? What do we need to do? And how do we outreach in their local areas, their local communities, areas that we haven't been before? Because we have a lot of younger veterans now. They have children in school, elementary school, middle school. So let's take a look at outreach events that are focused at those areas, taking into consideration the special needs that those younger veterans have. The biggest area of outreach in this program development really is about collaboration and community partnerships, working with veteran service organizations, working with the VA, the VBA, and all of the other organizations that are out there. We're working hard to develop any gaps that are out there in addressing the emergent needs of our veterans, seamless access to the programs and services that the veterans we serve. And finally, our administration is our backbone. They're the organizations that support the department overall. That's where we have our finance operations, our human resources, contracts and grants, which is another area that we are expanding. Our information technology that incorporates all of our websites, all those different things that are out there, as well as our facilities. Next slide. Taking a look at the major challenges that we face right now, a couple of those major challenges, looking out over the horizons, is really retaining and recruiting our clinical workforce that supports our now currently 2 homes and soon to be a 3rd home. That's a big deal for us. Specifically in that recruiting and retention of our healthcare professionals, it's our CNAs, and we'll talk a little bit more about those certified nurses aides in a minute. We continue to focus and try and come up with new solutions with our recruiting and our healthcare needs. We do have one program that we're very proud of is our Crombie Academy, working in our Southern Nevada Veterans Home. We have a free certified nurses aid program. It's a 4-week program where we use our underfill for our vacant CNA positions. We hire these young people to come in and go through this 4-week program where we have an instructor on site and we prepare them to take the CNA exam, and we have been able to fill about 16 to 18 different positions in that area. We also are working at expanding our Crombie Academy to assist with HHS and corrections. So that's been quite a great program for us. When we talk about the CNAs, and they are the backbone of what happens in our homes, they're often the first person that our veterans see in the morning and the last person they see at night. They help our veterans with some of their most personal needs. They're very, very important to our workforce, and we are very happy to say that our 4-week program has been very successful. We are in a pause in the program right now because we have hired a new director in that position, and we'll be standing that up very soon. Changing subjects, and we are working on our Southern Nevada home, which we'll talk about a little bit more. We are waiting for VA federal funding, matching funding to a CIP project to go forward with our remodel of that home. Currently, our home in Southern Nevada is about 20 years old. We'll talk about it in a little while. It is dual occupancy rooms with a shared bathroom. We will be going to a single occupancy floor plan where each resident has their own bedroom, and we're more in line with the VA's small home design. And should all of our CIP projects be approved this year, the department will be undergoing about $500 million worth of construction over the next 3 years to remodel our southern home, to do some other upgrades, and to build our third home in North Las Vegas. And due to those increasing construction costs, we'll be keeping a really close eye on what's going on in all of those construction projects to make sure that we stay on budget and on time. Finally, we're hearing from our veteran service organizations across the state that membership engaging the veteran community is a challenge for them. That is why that line of effort that is for our collaboration and program development is a priority to us. One of the things that we are working on, like I talked about before, is construction. We're growing as a department. Our programs are growing, and we have been really lucky that we worked with State Buildings and Grounds, and we did move into a new building down south on the McCarran complex. So we do have a one-story building, walk-up footprint, and we do have facilities in Southern Nevada and in Northern Nevada where our veteran service organizations can hold their meetings within our buildings, reducing cost and challenges for them. We also recently in December moved into a new building off of Gateway Drive in Northern Nevada, which provides us a nice training space where we can house about 25 to 30 of our veterans organizations, and they can hold their meetings right there. Ultimately, our goal on that South Meadows building is to have the entire building and turn that into a vet center where we can provide more services and more things to our veterans under one roof, and have in that Veteran Service Center, we would have the ability for our veteran service organizations and our nonprofit partners to be able to have an office where they could hold their meetings and have kind of an incubator situation where they'd be able to hold their meetings and have access to our staff to do things that they need to do. Our budget priorities, we are to address. We focus on the security surrounding information technology and making sure that our websites and all the things that we do in the IT space are secure, and that we have the ability to talk with our veteran service organizations and have them link to our websites and have more of a collaboration in that space with them. We are also committed to reaching every corner of our state so that we have questions up there under our budget priorities, and we're working with the committees. Travel is a big deal for us. Getting our veteran service officers and our team out to all corners of Nevada is expensive. So that is one of the areas that we're working on to make sure that we have sufficient travel budget to get our VSOs to all corners and all communities to make sure that they're out there. On our next slide, we'll talk a little bit about our SWOT analysis to show you some of the strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities that we have within the department. One of the things that we have is a very talented team. We have a very talented team that is not only our internal team, but our community partners. We have a talented team of veteran service organizations that we reach out to all the time to talk to and solve problems for our veterans. That includes our partners such as the VFW, the Vietnam Veterans of America, the American Legion, all of those partners. We work with them on a weekly and daily basis to make sure that we are using every tool in the toolbox to get out to outreach to our veterans. It's very likely that our veterans will associate with the veteran service organization that they identify with the closest. So having the ability to get the information to those veteran service organizations to get it out there to our veterans is one of the most important strengths that we have. The community partnerships that we have across the over 200 nonprofit organizations that are in Nevada that identify with veterans is critical to making sure, again, that we have that outreach, that we have that seamless message, and that we are communicating with our veterans. We have over 1,000 registered veterans advocates within the state of Nevada. Those are advocates that have been trained by the department with VBA, with the VA, to make sure that they are fully engaged in what veterans benefits are out there. So that is another strength that we have within the community. One of our weaknesses at this point is really, I think we have not taken advantage of the generosity of the veterans organizations that are out there and of the members of our community to strengthen and take advantage of all the philanthropy and the other the public-private partnerships that are out there within the state of Nevada. We have amazingly generous citizens within the state, and that is an area that we are working on a weekly basis to make sure that we strengthen that opportunity, and we work with our community partners to build those better relationships. And then you'll see again the clinical staff. That is something that we're working on through multiple different areas, job fairs, different things, to make sure that we are doing what we can do. I don't want to leave the impression that we don't have adequate clinical staff within our facilities. We do. We actually use a lot of what we call agency staff to fill the gaps. Agency staff are expensive, and they are not permanent full-time state employees, so we'd like to get that going. Some of our threats really surround the rising demand for our services. As you are aware, our human resources mechanisms don't always keep up with the rising demand, so we don't have the ability to expand the VSO footprint as quickly as we would like to meet the demand of all the things that are going on within our veterans communities. And the rising care of healthcare costs, that is an issue. That means that more veterans are coming to us to make sure that they are associated and affiliated with our veteran service or with their veterans service disabilities and their claims, so that their healthcare needs are taken care of by the VA. That is where we really do use that emerging technology, such as identifying our veterans through their zip codes and making sure that we better target those untethered veterans and work seamlessly with the VA. Nevada is supported by 3 different VA hospitals. We're supported out of Salt Lake, we're supported out of Reno, and we're supported out of the Las Vegas VA. Our VA partners are huge to our success. I work directly with Chuck Ramey and the team in customer support and all of the executives down in the Las Vegas area to support that 150,000 veterans that are down there. And if you talk with them, they are bringing in 750 new veterans a month into the VA healthcare systems in Southern Nevada, which requires them to bring in a primary healthcare team into their facility every other month to support the needs of our veterans in Southern Nevada. I'd like to talk a little bit about our opportunities. I've mentioned a couple different times about our public-private partnerships and our nonprofit collaborations. Those are huge to our success and what we need to do within our organization. We do have roundtable meetings with those public and private partners to make sure that we are really taking in the needs and seeing what we can do to make our dollars go further and we can support our veteran service organizations. Next slide. An overview of the department. We have, I want everyone to shift from thinking of us of only having 2 veterans homes to 3. We have in front of the CIP, and you will see in this legislative session, we are asking for the funding to build the 3rd home in North Las Vegas. That would be next to the Decatur DMV. We are in the design phase right now. It is a beautiful facility. It will hold 128 veterans, which will offset the need when we remodel the Boulder City home and we go from 180 beds to 120 beds. This new home that we have building in North Las Vegas will take up that gap. And will allow us to take in more veterans and make sure that we have facilities spread out throughout the valley so that it really does serve better our families and they don't have to drive as far to see their loved ones. We have the 2 veteran cemeteries, one in Fernley, we have one in Boulder City. We'll talk a little bit more about those in a few minutes. And for those of you that didn't know, there is a federal Veterans Cemetery opening in Elko. They're doing the groundwork on that now, and that should open within the next year. So we will have that 3rd opportunity. I talked a little bit about our headquarters offices. Those are beautiful facilities, walk-up facilities that will definitely serve our veterans much better, and there will be veteran service officers in each of those locations expanding our footprints. As we look at our budget accounts, we have 3 budget accounts. We'll talk a little bit about those, but not dive too much into the budget piece of that. But I do want to bring your attention to the bottom portion of the chart where it shows the expenditures that we have, both general fund and non-general fund. If we move to the next slide, it really does talk a lot more about where does the revenue source for the Department of Veteran Services come from. As you can see, our largest sources of revenue are from the VA and from federal sources that support our homes north and south. And our private pay and different things, this is where our revenue really does come from. Next slide. We'll dive a little bit into each of our facilities. Our Southern Nevada home, it's a beautiful home. It is aging. It was opened in 2002, so it is time for a facelift on that building. And I mentioned before, when we go through the remodel, it is a full remodel. Each room will be, each resident will have their own room, their own private bathroom, and it will be beautiful and modern and all of the things that go with that. That is why it is so important for us going from a 180-bed facility to a 120-bed facility. Again, that's why it's important for us to embark on that $223 million project to build the 3rd home at the Decatur location. $78 million of that will be state funded, and $145 million of that project will come from the VA in a grant. Next slide. Our Sparks home is affectionately referred to by our residents as their 5-star hotel. They love their rooms there. It is a beautiful facility. If you have not had the opportunity to see the Sparks home, we would love to take you there and tour the facility. Our resident chairman, his name is Wally. Wally loves his home. Wally has what he calls the Nevada suite because his room is shaped like the state of Nevada. And he takes everyone to the Nevada suite to show them his room and talk about how wonderful it is. And if you have an opportunity, again, we have happy hour on Friday afternoons at the sports bar, and about every month they have Nerf gun wars in the town hall. So if you'd like to participate in the Nerf gun wars, you're more than welcome. It's a beautiful place. We had our legislative symposium there a couple weeks ago, and we were able to bring about 100 people into the home to show them what it has to offer. And again, it allows another opportunity for our veteran residents to interface with the different portions of our community and our town hall. Next slide. We'll talk a little bit about our veteran cemeteries. We're very honored to have almost 70,000 veterans interned in our two cemeteries. The Boulder City Cemetery is absolutely stunningly beautiful. Chris and his team do an amazing job of taking care of that facility. It is the 2nd busiest cemetery in the country. They do anywhere between 5 and 8 internments a day. So we do take and pay special attention to both the team in Boulder City and the team in Fernley to make sure that we are taking care of the needs of our groundskeepers and workers. That's a heavy lift when you're paying honors and respects to anywhere between 5 and 7 service members a day, and you're talking with their families. Internments are offered at no charge to our veterans, and we do have a fee of $450 for our spouses or Gold Star families, and we are happy to discuss that. It may be additional fees depending on the memorials and things that they pick for those cemeteries. Again, they are beautiful and well-maintained, and we are asking for some assistance for our cemeteries this year in our budget items to replace some of their equipment as we can no longer get repair parts for them. Next slide. Our vast team is really as we do outreach and we get out there to our veterans, our veterans advocates and support teams, they are our front line. They are the ones that are meeting with anywhere between 15 to 20 in-person meetings a day. And our teams take over 100 phone calls a day for veterans outreaching for different types of services, questions. How do they get everything from, affordable housing to connected to their VA benefits? So that is one of our busiest areas of the department. We do a lot of things with training for our veteran service officers. We do a quarterly training with them, and we will begin this year pulling all veteran service officers that are credentialed through the department into a annual training where we bring in the VBA, the VA, and our National Veterans Legal Services Program to one location, and we renew their credentials and talk to them about making sure that what their training has to offer and how we make sure their skills are the most current that they can be. I bring your attention to the last bullet on this slide. Veterans bring in about $1.9 billion into the Nevada economy. And that comes from all areas between their disability compensations, their active duty wages, the pensions that come in, our dependency and indemnity compensation for dependents, as well as our burial allowances. When our veteran service officers make contacts with a veteran that is untethered and are able to help them connect to their veteran service benefits, on average, that veteran earns about $1,900 in compensation. So with every one of those contacts, we do bring more money into the Nevada economy, as well as improving the quality of life for our veterans. So that's where our veteran service organizations are very helpful to us, because if we don't have connections with those veterans, they bring them to the table for a veteran service officer, and we're able to increase their income, which is a very important part of what we do. Next slide. Talking about our community outreach programs, you can see on the slide, we are in all kinds of different areas. We are outreaching and having tables and doing whatever we can do to get the message out there through flyers, through individual contacts. Again, the theme of this is connecting our veterans with their earned benefits and resources and programs that they should have as they transition off active duty. And a lot of the benefits when they go to their transition points on active duty is about how do they find a job. We outreach, we send each one of our veterans that has identified Nevada as their new, where they're going to relocate to, we send them a packet, a welcome packet to their home and their address to say, hey, these are the benefits that we can do for you when you relocate into Nevada. We'd like to really step up our game with that welcome home packet and reach out by telephone or by email or other ways that we can talk with them. That is that Nevada TAP program, Transition Assistance Program, that we will be working through this year. Our health and wellness programs, that's a lot of really focusing on those unique areas. Suicide prevention is huge for us, making sure we are still losing 16 veterans a day nationally. That's too many. One soul lost to suicide is way too many. So we are stepping up our efforts in that area with both the Governor's Challenge and the Mayor's Challenge to make sure that we are in everything we can do to prevent veteran suicide. Next slide. There's some of the areas that we do. We have an opportunity through the Nevada Department of Veterans Service to collaborate and to make sure that 7% of our population is well taken care of, and that we are here and honor that proud service and history of our veterans, from our battle-born roots to our members of the active component and our members of the Nevada National Guard that are serving abroad today. We have a unique opportunity to make sure that their history and their legacies are taken care of. And we appreciate everything that we are able to do. I recently had an opportunity to participate in a ceremony for one of our World War II veterans. It was a gentleman by the name of Nono. Nono is 102 years young, and he fought in the beaches in Normandy, and he was recently presented with the French Legion of Honor in a special ceremony held in Las Vegas. Nono's story and legacy, the legacy he will leave behind, represents the best in all of us. The more than 216,000 veterans have proudly served Nevada, and they call our communities home. The Department of Veteran Services is proud to serve our veterans and stands ready to support the governor, our lawmakers, and the citizens of Nevada. Thank you for this opportunity, and if I can answer any questions, please let me know.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for what you do. We do have some questions. I will start with Assembly Member De Silva.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Colonel Devine and team, for the excellent presentation and for your dedicated service to the state. And also, I have to give a shout out to Mr. Andy LaPelbit with the United Veterans Legislative Commission. I had a 5-part question, but this was such a thorough presentation that it's become a 2-part question now. So part one is, I know you did mention about the outreach efforts of the department. I was wondering if you could give some specifics about the actual role that the department is playing in getting out to our rural and frontier counties and engaging with those veterans there. And then secondly, I do get this question from my Northern Nevada, friends, especially my Reno, veterans community, and that's the USO at the Reno Tahoe Airport. I know that we have 2 down at Harry Reid. Is there a role that the department can play in maybe bringing a USO to the airport here in Reno? Thank you.
Director Devine, for the record. Our outreach efforts are everything from, we do block parties where we bring veterans together and have veterans outreach twice a year. We do everything from every event, Reno Rodeo, different community events. We set up tables, hand out flyers. We have aggressive social media campaigns for outreach. We have a newsletter that we do for outreach. I didn't bring the exact numbers of contacts that we've had, but we reach tens of thousands of veterans every year in handing out our flyers, in one-to-one contacts, by handing out flyers, by setting up tables, by doing suicide prevention outreach. And we have recently hired part-time JJ Phoenix, who was the previous tribal chair of the Paiute tribe. He has come on board with us. He's also a member of the Washoe County School District to help with our 28 tribal members. So we are really focusing on that targeted outreach as well. As far as the USO, I will reach out to my USO partner in Las Vegas and see what we can do to get the USO into the Reno Tahoe Airport. I do know that the USO chapter here in Northern Nevada is very active. They do a lot of different events for the Air National Guard, Army National Guard, and at our veterans block parties and things like that. They're a very active sponsor.
Thank you, Assemblymember De Silva. Our next question is from Vice Chair Nguyen.
Thank you, Chair. And again, thanks, Colonel, for your service and, of course, for your team for what a thorough presentation today. I just agree with my colleague. I learned so much, even though this is my second time hearing the presentation. I feel like I'm learning a lot more. I see that there's such a multitude of services that you are doing. It's just amazing to see the number of growth in our populations. Obviously, you're dealing with an increased amount of caseload as well as relocation from many states across the country. I also want to highlight your. I'm such a nerd when it comes to this, but I'm so amazed that you use SWOT. Not many people use SWOT anymore, and that is just awesome that you are so brave at giving us a detailed look of the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats in your agency, and setting a high bar for other agencies to look at us when they come here and really showed us the challenges that you're dealing with. So, like my colleague, I had a 4-part question, but because of your thorough presentation, I only have one left. Are there increasing demands, just because you're onboarding about 750 veterans today, that's a lot. Are there increasing demand for business initiative support? I know that you focused on a lot of things about, the support of the day-to-day things, but are there initiatives that you're being asked to do in terms of supporting veterans who want to start small business. And, you know, I know these days folks doing multiple streams of income, so I'm sure that as a small business owner myself, I want to make sure that we create opportunities for many people as they want to go into business for themselves and their families.
Director Devine, for the record, that is a great question. We are partnering with the Southern Nevada Veterans Chamber of Commerce and have reached out to Ann Silver in the north with the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, and we will start working with the rural areas. There are a lot of veterans that are interested in starting small businesses, and the areas that they're specifically concerned with are contracting with not only state government, but federal government, because there are so many, they feel that there are a number of barriers in those areas for filling out all the paperwork and understanding how to do and how to get contracts with those businesses. So we have participated in a couple of open forums to talk about how we can do clinics for veterans that want to start businesses or strengthen their business. So the Lincoln Foundation is another nonprofit that has offered to reach out and help us do the clinics in this area. So as we bring on our outreach personnel, yes, that is something in the 26-27 legislative session that we will start working on. It's a challenge to get those partners. This is part of the public-private partnership. There's a couple of different nonprofit collaborations that would like to be business mentors. That are members of the business community that have successful businesses. They would like to become mentors to our small businesses that are maybe not quite where they want to be. So yeah, this is an area that we're working on. It's not as much in the forefront as connecting our benefits, veterans to their benefits. But yes, we are in that space as well.
Quick follow-up, Chair. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And if you have the ability to provide those data, I'm not sure if you do keep them. I know you have a lot on your plate, but if you do have the ability to share those data of how many of your veterans are interested in more business support, if you have that data, we would love to have it and see how we can be more supportive in that particular.
Director Devine, for the record, we'll get it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Chair.
Vice Chair. Our next question is from Assemblymember Karas.
Good morning. What a fabulous presentation. Thank you so much. I have more a comment than a question. As my father is interred at the Boulder City Veterans Memorial Cemetery, it is just beautiful and well-maintained, and what a respectful and beautiful service that you provide. Thank you.
Director Devine, for the record, if you have an opportunity to participate in Flag-In Day at either of our cemeteries, that is the Saturday before Memorial Day. It is an absolutely moving experience. In about 45 minutes, 300 to 500 volunteers show up, take the flags, and put them out on each of the graves at the cemeteries, both north and south, and it is moving to see the number of family members of all ages, children, you know, everybody there, the Boy Scouts, the Devil Dogs from the Marine Corps, they're all there. It takes about 45 minutes to put out somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 flags. And it's incredible. I would invite all of you to participate.
Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
When earlier on, we were talking about demographics, and on the presentation, it says there's 644 that experience homelessness. Do we know as far as, you know, what counties they're in or how they're dispersed around Nevada, or is that just a number for the whole state without individual data?
Director Devine, for the record, we do have the data. We can provide that. We're working with both VA North and South, as well as we do have a homeless rep that is working with Metro and several other agencies in Southern Nevada and in Northern Nevada to help with those homeless vets.
Thank you, and that sort of leads into my next question. At an outreach last year, I met a woman who was homeless and a veteran and didn't know exactly who to call. I called someone who used to be a Marine. They connected them with the VA. The person at the VA continuously called the veteran, and several times didn't get an answer or didn't get a response in a few days, but the VA didn't give up and eventually found a place for her to move into, which, thank you for that. But that goes to all of the units that you're building, that you're expanding on. Do you have a sufficient amount? Because I know some groups like women are hesitant to go to places where it's primarily men. So I don't know if you have additional beds or any other plans for that kind of.
Director Devine, for the record, we do have a need for assisted, our SNF care of about 650 roughly beds. We will be short about 300, even when we build the second facility. We do keep in really good contact with the other assisted living facilities that are in the state. We provide, I think it was on one of the slides, it's called Veterans in Care. We go out to all the assisted living facilities and provide flags and pins and do a ceremony for our veterans that are in other assisted living centers. We will be expanding that program this year to make sure that we invite both the VA and all of our community partners to make it even a bigger event to when we recognize those veterans in other facilities. But to get back to your question, you are correct. We are having some challenges with women. They don't really want to go to facilities that are largely male. Specifically are women that have experienced military sexual trauma. So we are working with the community partners, north and south, to see what we can do to put in, to have those special locations or at least segmented locations. We're again working with the VA and other areas to get after that particular challenge. We aren't where we want to be, but we will get there.
Thank you. Is it possible, or if it's available, the homeless rep or a phone number for the committee members to have when we run across folks that are, veterans and in need of help that we can connect with, or the best person for the Northern Nevada, Southern Nevada, however you want to break it up, so that we all have that ability to connect somebody immediately?
Get you a quick reference sheet.
Any other questions from the committee? Assemblymember Gallant.
These are new. Oh, it's on. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Like new technology. Sorry, thank you, Chair. It spurred a question. So, with HUD-VASH, right, the Section 8 voucher that's specifically for veterans, is that a program that's hard to work with? Do not all the veterans qualify? I'm just curious, is it being utilized enough? Is there some way that we could be more supportive so it could be utilized?
Director Devine, for the record, currently in Southern Nevada, all 1,300, just over 1,300 HUD-VASH vouchers are in use. I do know that the VA is seeking an additional 100 vouchers in Southern Nevada. We are working with our partners here in Northern Nevada to get a better handle on the numbers in Northern Nevada and in rural Nevada. I had a meeting on it last week asking for support from Senator Cortez Masto's office for additional vouchers. Where the challenge is, from what I understand with the vouchers, sometimes our landlords are not receptive to taking the vouchers. So we'll work with our VA partners and see what we can do on that to get some training and some additional information out there. But like I said, in Southern Nevada right now, they are all in use. When I spoke with Chuck Ramey from the VA, he mentioned to me that this is the first time that they've all been used, and there is a waiting list for them in Southern Nevada.
How many vouchers do you think you need in order to satisfy the demand? And as a landlord, I think I've got 80 Section 8 leases right now. So it's a difficult program that not all landlords want to do. It's not necessarily the clientele, but the massive amount of contracts, inspections, paperwork, time frame. I mean, it takes up to 60 days to get that first payment, and sometimes those landlords just can't do, so I think there's some systemic and bureaucratic issues in terms of why some landlords are not necessarily embracing these programs. But back to my original question in terms of how many vouchers do you think you would need to satisfy the complete, like the total demand?
Director Devine, for the record, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because it's a relatively large number. So let me get back with my VA partners and get that number to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Assemblymember Gallant. Assemblymember Flanagan, you had a question?
Thank you. Good morning. In the line of housing, is there ever a space where you guys use like group home approaches? Because you said in the facilities, there's like 128 beds or 180 beds, but there are a lot more veterans who are homeless or need that, or they don't always need as much care. But is there ever a space where there's a partnership for group homes to provide them with a place to live, maybe together, but in a home setting that re-enters them into the normalcy of neighborhood and family and community?
Director Devine, for the record, thank you for that question. We are actually exploring right now, Deputy Director McBride and his team are looking at domiciliary homes and the opportunity for what we could do in that space for transition housing in a domiciliary situation. Those are usually 8 to 12 homes. So we're taking a look at how we can get into that space. Nevada has not done that through the department before, so we're reaching out to our partners to find out what we can do. It may be a great model in our rurals because they need help, but they don't need 120 beds. So we're taking a look at that. We did have an opportunity with the VA to have a meeting with regard to what they call veteran foster care, which is where homes that are similar to foster homes bring in a veteran and help them in a home setting in a one-on-one situation. The program has launched in Northern Nevada, and Las Vegas is trying to get into that space. So we're just learning about that possibility at this point.
Thank you, Assemblymember Flanagan, and Assemblymember Jackson has a question.
Thank you, Chair. For the housing voucher for veterans, do veterans that were dishonorably discharged qualify for that voucher?
Director Devine, for the record, I don't believe so. I'm going to have to get a concrete answer for you, but that is something that we usually work with those veterans that have that need discharge upgrades. That's one of the things that our veteran service officers work with them on, is to see if we can get their discharges upgraded.
Any other questions from the committee? Right. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for your time. We'll now move into public comment. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephonically and may submit public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. Instructions for providing public comment can be found on the agenda. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 888-475-4499. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 885-8216-9489, and then press the pound hashtag when prompted for a participant ID. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide testimony. You may also submit written public comment to the committee up to 24 hours after the hearing. Please remember to clearly state and spell your name for the record. Is there any public comment here in Carson City? Seeing none. Any public comment in Las Vegas? Okay, seeing none there. AVH, is there anyone on the phone lines for public comment?
Thank you, Chair. The public line is open and working. We have no callers at this time.
Thank you very much. The next meeting for the Government Affairs Committee will be Friday, February 7th at 8 a.m. in this room. That concludes our meeting for today. The meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.
Thanks, Chair.
You okay? Yeah. I'm just tired. I had a little shaky start today. Yeah.